welcome to BCC Virtual Racing and tonight's race. And I've forgotten to turn Zwift on. This is a disaster. Hold on. Tonight's race, while that's running, La Guardia Loop, 18.3 kilometers long over 6 laps. Not much climbing tonight, 182 meters. Let's hope I can get there before the time starts at 10 past 7. Should be able to. Large field, 24 riders riding from Beaconsfield so far, and some changes in the lineup today with Lancia and Davis making an appearance in Category A. Remains to be seen what happens there. But of course on Monday night it was Davis that beat Lancia in the Glasgow Green Cycle Club event. Only just though, the leadership changed hands back and forward during that ride. But anyway, Davis was first in Category C, Angus first in Cat A. There's a surprise, Reed leading Cat C and Telford in Cat D. And with a bit of luck now, I'll get to join event and we'll be in. There we go. Just made it, so apologies for that. There's always something that goes wrong. It is live, unlike Monday when I recorded the whole event and didn't actually press go live. So here we are in Cat A, trying to get a sense of what Davis and Lancia are up to, and they're off. Everyone joining in together. There's Ketley. Didn't know he was racing tonight either. That's the front of the field at the moment, just as we let this settle down. So this is La Guardia Loop. This is the southern end of Central Park. And for those of you that don't know, so named after Fiorello LaGuardia, who was the mayor of New York from 1882 to 1947. So a bit of a history lesson there for you. 0.3 kilometers in 24 seconds underway. Davis and Tom, Cat A up at the front there. There is Davis. No sign of Lancia, but everyone is really in the bunch together. They'll start to stretch out very quickly, of course, as you can see on the screen right now. As I said, 6 laps, 2.8 kilometers per lap, with about a 1.6k lead in as the riders head south now. On their left, just in the distance, those tall buildings, that is 5th Avenue. And let's move away from Davis. There's Lancia, the nemesis, his nemesis. I haven't actually looked at the stats to see who has won more, but the two of them have been fighting it out back and forward. And in the overall standings, of course, no great surprise that Davis is up there, but not as high as Shannon and Angus. So Angus is leading the overall with 166 points, Shannon on 164 and Davis on 161. And in the plate, it's Nixon leading over Measham, followed by JB. So some early power-ups coming out there. Smith in the middle, Quebrada I saw as well from BCC. Charles just sneaking up in the background. There's Matt Tom on screen now, 264 watts, 176 beats on the heart. So beginning to push it. There's the sprint banner. This is just coming up to the end now of the lead-in. And that is the sprint banner just disappearing in the distance. And now we're into the 6 laps of the course. So this is lap 1. Let's have a look. So there's Ketley hanging on quite nicely with this leading group. In fact, he's ahead of Davis, Tom and Lancia at the moment, taking advantage of the peloton. I can see Strachan from HWCC, High Wycombe, up towards the front there as well. And we'll have a quick look further back in the field. Darren Woods, along with Alexis Brown, and which Walker is it? Alex Walker. Looks as if a new group is beginning to form. The course, although it has 182 metres of climbing, it's 27 metres per lap, is really largely flat. There's a couple of bumps. I think the most interesting feature of this course, quite twisty and turny. And of course, there's a second group beginning to form now. And with the laps being so short, I expect the front runners to lap the rear of the field pretty quickly, probably on the 3rd lap. Or something of that nature. So 6 riders, Category A, about 8 I can see in Cat B and 11 or so in Cat C. I'm not sure if we've got anyone riding in Cat D at the moment. There is Brown, category B, 230 watts, 2.8 kilometers in, riding a Canyon. Interesting choice of bike. On this, for those that have it, as you can see in that group up ahead, the Tron bike is probably the best one. Moving further back now, Ware in there. See who else we can see, and then we'll go back up to the front of the field. There's Shannon right there on screen. This looks like the third group now. So 3 groups. Cat A up front with some of the B riders, a large bunch just ahead of this. In fact, you can see behind now there's another group forming. So already only 4 minutes in, 4 distinct groups have formed. And here is Kerr, Sampson, Hindley, I meant to say, Richard Hindley. Stoneham's in there too, and does that look like Empson? No, it's Sampson. I keep seeing the way it scrolls across the screen. Peter Jones. I'll let those riders settle down a little bit. There's Marcus Stoneham, so both Stoneham's riding this evening, and I hope Stoneham's again just checking the bike all the time. Let's have a look. Now he's on the right bike this time. And I think I saw, who was this? Oh, there's Richard Hindley and Dave Sampson right next to him as well. Moving further back in the field, Measham, I can see. There is Measham pushing ahead of Tom Kerr at the moment. Kerr, come on, make a bit of an effort there. You're faster than that. And May sneaking in behind as well. Keep an eye on him as the race goes on. And Oliver White further back in the field, a bit unexpectedly. Oh, he says he's riding in Cat A, which is, I think, ambitious. And perhaps a mistake on Zwift's part or his. It sometimes happens. But anyway, he's in Cat A at the moment. 4 kilometers in, 5 minutes, 50 seconds. And there is Telford representing Cat D and Lord as well. So we have 2 Cat D riders this evening. 3, in fact. Rob Jones makes a welcome return to racing. And he has had consistent battles with Telford, who's now 32 seconds ahead of him. But I know Jones just getting back on form. He won't want to overdo it, but very nice to see him riding along. At the moment, he's got Lord in his sights. Not that rider immediately in front, but the one in front of Lord. So, here we are, up at the pointy end of the race. You can see Crook from High Wycombe up there, Brada, Campbell, Ketley, all in this group, as is Charles, Alex Walker, Lancier, of course, Davis I can't see, but I'm sure he's there somewhere. This being a flat course, again, should suit the larger riders. But having said that, this definitely isn't a larger rider. There's Katie Jury, but she's a strong rider, so I certainly would expect her to finish ahead of many of these other riders that I've just mentioned. And I haven't seen yet. Oh, there's Chris Brackey, Scott Rowland. I just saw somewhere on screen. It disappeared again. Rowland. Just trying to think on Monday's race. So he started off, kept with the pack, right up the front for most of the race, and then I think on one of the goes up the leg snapper in Innsbruck. That was a bit too much, dropped off the back at that point. So tactics on this are important as well. Rob Smith sitting right in the middle of the pack, all his fellow teammates and club members sitting around him. Third of the way into the race. This is going to be under 25 minutes, I would think, for the leaders. No sign of a break yet out of this group. Let's move a little further back and see where that starts to happen. Just about behind Ketley by the looks of it. In fact, looking ahead now at the group in front, the back of that group is Ketley. About a further 20 seconds back, Darren Wood, Alexis Brown just closing on him now. This is group 2, I think. Let's just see if the group is still there. No, it looks like it could be a small breakaway. And on the sprint, the first sprint times coming up. Stoneham's in 5th place. The names aren't scrolling through, so I can't check. Okay, Wood's hanging on quite nicely. No, he's not. Yes, he is. Let's have a look. Well, he was, but he's not anymore. So he has dropped off that group that he was with. Looks as if Ketley right at the back here is still hanging on in there. I hope he continues to do that. Okay, Guardia and Stoneham. There's the first look of Stoneham for tonight's race. Again, clearly a strong favourite to do well here. Using his usual tactics, sitting in the bunch, trying not to waste energy. And again, not to be underestimated in that sprint finish, which he timed to perfection on Monday night's race. Tough in with this group as well. So there are about 10 BCC riders. Can see quite a few of them on the overhead shot now in this group. Charles, will he hang on at this pace all the way to the end? The pace is reasonable, 43 kilometres per hour. He may do, it's certainly possible. But they're just demonstrating her capability. There is Jury with the green jersey. Just disappeared as I said that. But nonetheless, she's in that bunch somewhere, having just won the green jersey. So quite a collection of A and B riders still together. The A's have not made a break. A little difficult to follow with them all bunching around each other and changing around back and forward. So I won't click on too many riders until they stretch out a little bit further, but not too much opportunity to stretch out an awful lot further. With about another 9Ks left to go. Let's watch Davis for a bit. He's always good for a laugh. 5.7 watts per kilo, though. That is certainly sitting well within Cat A at the moment. 378 watts, so something's going up the front end. It looks as if that leading group is trying to make a push for it. And Lancia, in fact, looks as if he has gone on the attack. Lancia and Tom, they have done just that. This is quite remarkable. Not what I expected to see. Now, if they can work together, can they pull away from Davis? In fact, Lancia seems to be going all by himself. Oh no, and there we go. Short-lived, swamped by the peloton. I thought that could be quite an exciting race with Lancia and Tom pushing hard. Perhaps wasn't a deliberate attack. But nonetheless, still around 50 riders in this sort of very large extended bunch. And I've been trying to click on Jury in her green jersey. There she is there. And Campbell's still in this group. Not that that's a great surprise, a course that should suit him, but nice to see him. He was had a little distance from Lancia, Davis and fellow riders of a similar ilk in the last race. Just saw Strachan from Wickham. And Quebrada is a strong rider as well, who is in this bunch. Alex Walker. Certainly don't expect this bunch to stay together for very much longer, although they need to be careful now. It's all very well sitting in the bunch, but a bunch of this size, the win could go to absolutely anyone. 11.2k in, 14 minutes. About 7k, 7.5k left to go. So I'll have a little bit of a look further back down the field. Quite a few Wickham riders in there this evening. There, Lord in Cat D, just looking for fellow Cat D riders. Can't see them at the moment, so Lord has certainly been lapped. Now, this is, I think, Group 4 at the moment. Shannon, Brown, Stoneham, Marcus, all in here. Measham's there as well. That's a good ride from Measham. Kerr's in there too. So there's an interesting mix of riders here. I certainly can't see them all staying together. And this rider gets a special mention. Harding, under 13 rider, sitting in there with Measham and co, putting out 3-4 watts per kilo, so she's doing exceptionally well. One to watch for the future. Riding for Team Kids, an appropriate name. So if she can keep this up, she'll be beating many of the BCC riders. In fact, is ahead of Ware, Kerr, Wood, Brown, Stoneham, Hindley. They're all moving around a bit, but just take a look around you. There's a 13-year-old right next to you, Ware in there as well. So about 10 BCC riders in this group. Just so that I don't miss the finish, I'll have a check up front, see what's going on. There's Telford, no sign of Jones. Has Ketley still managed to hang on in there with the... So Ketley and Charles right next to each other. Is there a gap yet? No, there is not. This is still the leading group, slightly stretched, as you can see here. Not that small incline, that's enough at this pace to spread these riders out. They'll probably come back together. Taff and Smith. Wouldn't expect to see Smith finish with Stoneham, Quebrada, Davis, Lancia, or even Campbell, but he might do. This is the I'm not sure what it is actually. What happened? No, another Swift oddity. That's, Peter Jones. There's Brown. Shannon, 12.5k. Group is pretty much staying together, coming up for the sprint banner there. Right. Too many riders in this group to track. But this is the front group, so we'll stay here for a few minutes, see what happens. Matt Tom, 256 watts now, 17 minutes 46 seconds into the race, with only about, unless I've got it wrong, 4k left to go. It's time to make a move by someone. This is not going to work particularly well for the majority of these riders. Stoneham sitting there in the bunch. I could see him in the background. But so many other names. Jury's up there. Campbell, Davis, Taff, Charles, Ketley. I know where my money is on the sprint finish. Coming up for 15 kilometres. I'm just about to lap another rider. Must be a bit soul destroying getting lapped at that speed. These riders at 52 kilometres per hour at the moment. Completed 144 metres of climbing, about another 40 to go. Not far now, 3.5k. So I'd like to at this stage follow the riders I think are going to cross the line first in each of the groups, but that is probably a bit of an impossibility right now. But what I will do at this stage is get hold of, have a quick look at Lancia, Jury, and I think we'll stay around Stoneham, just because I think he has the best possibility. But look at this, Smith in front of Stoneham, Jury's there, Davis is there, Bracchi, Quebrada, everyone in fact is there. Too many riders to mention. Anybody's race coming up for 16k. Someone needs to make a move. Stoneham sitting at 236 watts, that's not much for him at 3.6 watts per kilo. He's capable of close to 5 and holding that at a fairly sustained pace. Tactics all important in this crit race, but there don't seem to be any at the moment. It's just riders have naturally broken into several large groups, and this is one of the largest front running groups I've seen in a long time. Stoneham's in a good place, about third row back there, second row now, moving into the front. Tom's watching him, Campbell's there, Walker, Alex Walker still in this bunch as well. Davis sitting on the right hand side of the field, a couple of power ups coming up that slight slope. Scott Rowland off to the left, Ketley sneaking his way through the middle at the back, Smith up there. Would not like to call this. 2 kilometres left in this race, 2,000 metres, that's all it is, round this LaGuardia loop in Central Park, New York. So still watching Stoneham, simply because if we want to see a race finish, I think he's the one that's most likely to get there with his record over the last few weeks. And I'm not quite sure, I'd have to look, but I think he may well have won every Beaconsfield Crit Club race that he's entered so far. No signs of anyone weakening just yet. I'm just waiting for someone to pop out the back, but it doesn't seem to be happening. Ketley keeps trying to push forward and then slowly drifts back again. But look at the tactics here. Stoneham sitting sort of 3 wheels back, still taking advantage of the draft. And if I've got this right, about 1 kilometre to go. Riders are sensing it. There's some going already. Stoneham's up out of the saddle. I'm pushing hard. 10 watts per kilo. No one's really responding. Davis gives it a bit of a shot at 8 watts per kilo. Quebrada goes as well, 11 watts per kilo. Who's this coming up behind Stoneham? Someone called Gardner. And it is Stoneham going all the way. Stoneham's going to get there, I think. Stoneham's going to get another win. Can he hold on? He's gone a little bit early. Looks as if Gardner's going to push him all the way to the finish and has done just that. Could be Quebrada third, I'm not sure. Davis maybe fourth or fifth. But they're all coming in now. Brackey, Tom, Charles, Ketley. That's a good ride from everyone, actually. All stayed relatively together. I knew it would come down to the sprint. Roland crossing the line. And let's quickly go back to the next group. And that was in 23 minutes. So that was about a minute and a half quicker than I expected. That was a fast race. And I think Stoneham would have got it. I think he just went a fraction too early. But always hard to tell what your competitors are going to do. Just trying to get to the front of this group. By the time I get there, they will have crossed the line. The trouble is, of course, I keep clicking on riders, but the challenge is these riders are lapping others all the time. So we will sit around this group and see if we can find. There's Brown at 17.9k, seems to be by himself. There's a Wickham rider in this bunch as well, Crook. And the under 13-year-old, Harding, and Kerr is in there as well. So a good ride from Kerr. Now, let's watch the 13-year-old, where that's is where it's at, really. They're just about to lap Rob Jones. So Kerr is leading over Brown and Harding, but Harding's up out of the saddle and pushing. She's not going to catch the others, but oh, she beat Brown by the looks of it. Hard to tell, but that was a good ride from her. And we'll go once more. Peter Jones and May. Probably missed the group that Shannon and co are in. Might have a quick. There's Darren Wood a little bit further ahead at 18.4k. There are these riders have crossed the finish line already. So let's have a look here. This, I think, will be the final group I'll follow to the line. We have here Samson May, Peter Jones at 17.7 kilometres, less than 1k to go for them. Now, Jones and May. Samson, I don't think so. Possibly. Just let's have a look. Okay, so there is May now at 18k. The finish line is going to come into view shortly. This is really the only incline in here. So they're just looking at the sprint time. Stoneham 8.31 seconds. And there is the finish. May's up, going for it. Samson has pulled ahead. Didn't expect to see that. So it looks as if it's going to be Samson, May. And where is Jones? Missed Jones. So good ride from Samson. In fact, there is Jones. And I think that is the last of the riders we're going to see on a practical basis. So there's Telford is just crossing the finish line now. No, he's not. He's got one more lap to do. Apologies. So he and Lord have got one more lap to do, and on the same basis, I'm sure Rob Jones has as well. So that's all for the coverage for this evening. Thank you all for watching. Next race, of course, is on Monday evening.